Welcome to Unfiltered, episode 3. The weekend saw the anticipated fight of undefeated American boxer Floyd Mayweather against Irishman Conor McGregor. Boys, what do we think?
Overhyped. I think it lived up to the hype.
You reckon?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was outstanding spectacle. I thought McGregor definitely did better than most people predicted. You know, lasting 10 rounds, he definitely did well for the UFC, and
yeah,
hats off to Mayweather. You know what I mean?
He can be proud. He can be proud. He landed 111 punches on Mayweather. Pacquiao didn't even land that.
It was a different kind of fight.
I know that, but he just went out there and he went as hard as he could, and he just fought his ass off. You know what I mean? Like, he's got to be proud of himself because everyone's thinking, oh, he's going to get knocked out, blah 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 blah. But like 10 rounds with Mayweather was just like obviously going to pick him apart, wanted to take him into them later rounds, as he said. Where because the max you can fight in the UFC, and it's always different, is 25 minutes. 36 minutes is a long time. So I think it lived up to the hype. It's probably the biggest spectacle for the last 20 years in sport.
Yeah, it definitely did boxing no harm. The best thing for me to see Mayweather come forward, and McGregor couldn't handle that pressure. So the first 4 rounds, you give him the first 3 rounds, McGregor. Yeah, that was just Mayweather sort of feeling him out. But see, in MMA or UFC, you can use your kicks to keep distance. Mayweather kept pushing forward. McGregor had to keep throwing punches, lost all his power. He gassed in the 4th, 5th, and he did well to last to the 10th. And I think it was a fair stoppage, definitely a fair stoppage. Yeah. You cop too many hits to the head, referee's going to stop it. He says that it was fatigue. Yeah, it was fatigue. And for most people that know boxing, not that I'm an expert, but I've been in the ring a few times, your legs go first. Yeah. And it wasn't the power punches that hurt McGregor, it was more his legs went.
What about the balls on McGregor just going, let the man put me down. Yeah. Like he actually wanted to get knocked out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's just such a crazy mentality to have. And I think that obviously them UFC fighters, they're built different. You know, they want to see you knocked out cold. You know, and he was out there willing to cop that. And I was like, dude, you'd cop a stoppage like that any day. But you know, I don't think their bank balance is whinging about it.
I think you can look at the fight in a couple of different ways. You can look at it that, yeah, it lived up to the hype. Mayweather, I mean, realistically, Mayweather picked him apart. Yeah. But McGregor
not in
stood
the first
there.
few rounds.
No, but I mean, look, that was his plan. He was gonna see what McGregor had.
How do you train for McGregor? That's the thing. He had to think on his feet. You know, McGregor's got the weirdest style in UFC, and he's not a boxer. So how do you figure him out? He'd give himself 4 to 5 rounds, and then he just turned it on. It was just ridiculous.
Looking at the way Mayweather fought too, when he was such the bigger man. Like if you look at when he stepped in the ring, there was a huge physical difference between the two of them. And I think Mayweather was just, with that big right hand sticking out, he didn't know where to go. Yeah. I think the way Mayweather fought that fight and the way that he just waited and bid his time and then came home, I think it was probably the best Mayweather performance in a long time.
Especially 2 years off and 41 years old.
Yeah.
You look at, we talk about the size difference for McGregor, the way he had that right hand out in front of Mayweather, he was a little bit confused. Now, if McGregor had more experience in the ring and could last 12 rounds, it would have been very interesting. He did lose a lot of his power and he did fatigue, but his style against another boxer.
Awkward,
It's the thing is, when we talk about pre-seasons, right? Well, when we play in rugby league, we'll do 3 months of the hardest training you've ever done. Yeah. You go into round 1, you're gassed in the first 5 minutes.
But at least we've got 4 trial games. He had nothing.
He had nothing. Right?
He had 2 months to prepare.
You can spar as much as you want.
Yeah.
But when you're under the lights and it's at 12 rounds, and don't get me wrong, MMA is just as hard with that 25 minutes. It's a different kind of fitness.
It's a different fitness.
It's a different
as you said, you can kick him away and there's 10-second rest.
Yeah. You get rest, you can get in a grapple, but he couldn't keep distance with his, and that's why Mayweather was so good, because he kept his guard up, he kept pushing forward. And when you're on the back foot and you're trying to hit someone away, parry, trying to jab, your legs go. He had no power.
You said at the end of the 9th, he just stumbled like you've done, 800 after 800. Yeah, and at 3 2-minute rounds. Yeah. You go as hard as you can. He went as hard as he could. until his legs were done.
When he was cuddling him from the behind, it reminded me of your fight. Actually, when you were, who was it? Troy Flav?
Flav,
a lot
You
of
didn't
people
just
from
cuddle him.
behind.
You just there
That's
was
how I used to
some
tackle.
emotions.
That was my tackle defence. That's how I used to tackle in the NRL.
Look, I reckon if you look at it from the perspective of McGregor's, the balls that he had to even get in the ring, you know, it's phenomenal, and you cannot fault. He didn't give up. He kept going. He fought the whole way through, but he was never in the same class.
I love the classiness after, you know, just shaking
Both
your
of them,
hands.
yeah.
Both of them,
Both
you know
of
what I mean?
them,
Just went,
yeah.
all right, we've done it. Let's get along with our lives now.
And
All that personal stuff, all the racism bullcrap that they tried to put on, that was just to sell tickets.
Sell tickets.
Obviously, they just went in there, embraced, and that was probably the best part of the fight.
But even the boxing purists, I think they all respected it.
Oh, for sure.
Because they all wrote it off. But
Yeah.
after the fight, they were like, you know what, McGregor.
crap,
They gave
man.
McGregor respect. They said, look, he got in there,
100%.
he gave it, he lasted 10 rounds.
The thing was, at the start of the fight, they got the tail of the tape, right? Yeah. And you've got Floyd Mayweather, and tail of the tape obviously is, you know, height, weight, reach, all those things.
49-0.
49-0, and then it's got McGregor, pro to boot.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at that and I was like,
At least give him his UFC
You know,
record.
pro to boot, but it was a pro boxing fight. He's never had a pro boxing fight.
He's always amateurs.
The fact that he did as well as he did, you got to give him credit for that. But for me, when Mayweather walked in, he was wearing that executioner's mask.
That was ridiculous.
You know, I looked at it and I thought he looks like a bank robber, and the only people getting robbed are the public. But then when he, but when he actually got in the ring, I was surprised with McGregor at he didn't have the ring craft that Mayweather had, but he did a good job.
You know what? I noticed probably around the 4th round when his coach, I was watching Mayweather and they had the camera on him, and he'd go back to his corner and he was searching, he was looking over at McGregor. You could tell he was getting tired. Where Coach Roddy and Kavanagh and all that were talking to McGregor, and he was not giving them any response. They were trying to give him instruction. I went straight away. He's gone.
What about the suits they were wearing in the corner too?
Oh, what's up with that?
What's
They
going
look like
on
bartenders.
well,
But
they
you
are
know
Irish.
what? I honestly,
Irish.
I thought it did live up to the hype. And you know, I would have paid for it 10 times over.
Yeah.
Did you pay for it?
I paid for it. I told you they were going to get my money. They were going to get my
got
money.
ya.
I didn't want to watch it in a pub because I actually wanted to watch it. You know, and when you watch it in a
Where
pub,
did you watch it? Did you pay for it?
I didn't pay for it.
Yeah, same.
Shout out to
Where were you?
Sparkles.
I was in Melbourne, mate.
Shout out to my boy Sparkles for
business.
paying for it.
You were in Melbourne, and where'd you watch a fight?
At a pub.
At a pub, socialising.
Yeah, just with the public.
Out
Just
man
with
of
the public,
people.
mate. The man of the people, you know that.
Man of the people. They reckon that this fight is going to gross, stats man, US $750 million.
Well, it already's got the highest gate, 80 million.
Yeah.
Pacquiao was 72 million. So they made
Kidding me.
80 million just off the live gate.
Yeah.
And it's still growing. So I'm not sure if all the figures are in yet, but
No, I don't think so.
it'll be the highest grossing fight ever.
Well, it's that time of year again, NRL Finals. Boys, there are 4 teams fighting for 3 spots. Who will finish in the 8?
My tip, I mean, obviously the Storm, Roosters, Broncos, the Eels, the Sharks, they're all safe. Panthers, Cowboys, and Eagles, and then you got the Dragons. They're coming equal 8th. You know what I mean? So you got the Cowboys who are playing the Broncos up there, which is a massive game. I just don't think the Cowboys have got the cattle to beat the Broncos up there. Penrith are playing the Eagles. That's going to be hard, you know. So one of them have got to be out. The Dogs will get beaten by the Dragons. You know, the Dragons have always got a good record against the Dogs, and I just think they'll slip into the 8. And I think the Cowboys will slide out.
No, I disagree. I think the Dogs can beat the Dragons. I think the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks they're throwing the ball around
I
and being a
suppose.
lot better. It's a semi-final for the Dragons. Their next, however many weeks they want to win the grand final, they've got semi-final after semi-final.
So if the Cowboys get beat by the Broncos and the Dogs get beat by the Dragons, what happens?
Cowboys go.
Cowboys go because of the differential.
The points
So
differential.
the Dragons will be sitting back on Sunday just hoping the Cowboys, as soon as the Cowboys get beat, they don't have to turn up. They could rest half their team.
Who,
Like Dugan.
The Dragons?
Yeah.
No, they've got to win. They're 2 points behind. I'm afraid that your little sheet there hasn't provided you with the correct table because as the stats man,
You're
they're
right,
on 28 points, and the others are on 30. So
so they need to win.
They need to win. They got to win. If they don't win, they're gone.
Yeah.
If they do win and the Cowboys lose, then they'll go.
Yeah.
Unless Manly and Penrith have a draw at the end of Golden Point, which is never going to happen.
My tips have been terrible, especially episode 1. I said Manly were the dark horse.
And
Para.
Para's still not Para, mate.
Para, yeah.
I mean, Ken Para.
Defensively, they need to be better. They were outstanding against Brisbane.
Parramatta versus the Broncos, who, did they just show everybody that they're a top 4, they're at least the top 2 team? They put 52 points on the Broncos, who pride themselves on defence. I'm pretty sure whoever's playing the Broncos this week is going to get dusted. And I know that's the Cowboys. Wayne Bennett prides himself on defence. And to let in 52, I don't think he's done that since he was with Newcastle.
They brought in Peter Ryan, I heard, this week to try and work on
I mean, it's just an attitude thing. You can fix that in a week.
Yeah.
Injuries and all that kind of stuff, they come and you can't do anything about that. But you can fix all the problems in 1 week. So I don't think they'll have any problems with the Cowboys. You know, even though it's up there, they'll have 25,000.
And if that's the case, and if the Dragons win, then the Dragons win. I mean, the Dragons have had an up and down season. I think it was very gutsy of Paul McGregor to drop a player on the morning of a game. You know,
your thoughts on that, Ren? Just say, I mean, Dugan, obviously, you don't do that unless you've messed up at least a couple of times. But he said that's his first misdemeanor in 5 years.
Missing the bus? I don't know the facts, but how do you miss the bus? How do you miss a bus?
Just that there, I don't know.
They reckon he missed a plane too.
He needs
a new watch.
He still beat him to the. He beat him to the ground.
He's an integral.
He beat him to the ground.
Did he?
Yeah.
Must have got an Uber.
Big Uber.
Well, he's an integral part of that side. Without him, they don't win. You know, he's
they did. The whole season was on the line. The season was on the line.
About winning a premiership.
100%. I don't think they could win the premiership.
I want to say, outside of Melbourne, the obvious, who's in the grand final?
Roosters, Broncos, and Eels.
The only 3?
It's a 4-game grand final, is it? 4 teams in the grand final this year. I declared Melbourne. Episode 1, I declared Melbourne, and they've put 500 points on South since then. I don't think that there's any question Melbourne will be in the grand final.
Yeah.
The 2 other sides that we liked, Brisbane and Cronulla, both got beaten on the weekend, and the Roosters are just starting to find some form now. Gordon's coming back. I think it's a Melbourne. I think it's a Melbourne Roosters grand final. Mm-hmm. But again, Cronulla is sort of just on the downward slide. Parramatta are playing well. The Broncos, I think, will come out and do well. It's an open competition.
You know what? And the NRL need to be commended for that.
100%.
For
the salary cap.
The salary cap is working. It's an even playing field. When we were playing, you knew you had those couple teams that you'd beat. You know, there was
South,
no disrespect.
No, South were ordinary
South,
in the early 2000s.
West Tigers. Not that they didn't put up a fight, but you knew you were going to get 2 points that week. Yeah. Now the competition is so open, you just don't know who's going to win.
Yeah.
You can't guarantee that Storm's going to win either. You can't. Once the semi-final times comes around, you don't know. They could get dusted 2 times in a row. They could get beaten that second semi-final. You're straight out. You know, they get 2 chances at it. But either of them sides can beat anyone on their day.
Why are you being so negative about my prediction?
Because I want you to be wrong. And Nate's not in the side, so I was only going for Storm because Miles was down there and he can't get a run.
One injury away.
How good was Munster?
He's a gunner. Bill and Cameron, they're just too good.
It's going to be a
sort of semi-unfair.
Bloody day.
These 4 monsters coming off the bench.
You want to see the Roosters win?
I'd love to see the Roosters
I don't want to see a Sydney team win.
I would.
You want to see a Sydney team win?
No.
Really?
I'd rather the trophy go down to Melbourne so I don't have to see it.
Oh, I suppose. Or Brisbane. Keep it. I don't know. Someone. I don't want to see any Sydney players just rolling around.
The one thing you can guarantee is if it's a Roosters-Melbourne grand final, it'll be the first grand final with more players than supporters. Because I remember going to the Roosters playing in 2010 against St George, and there was about 5,000 Roosters supporters out of the whole crowd.
They turn up when they semi-final time. They'll turn up. Oh, yeah. They get to the grand final, there'll be 50,000 in there.
Look, there's a few teams that people hate. The
Eels and Sharks would be good.
That'd be good.
You'd like a good spectacle, you know what I mean?
2 Sydney sides with a real strong base.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Sharks. They went from last year. They lost 1 out of 5. They come into the semis and they end up winning.
I don't see that Brisbane losing. We talked about this in episode 1. If you lose a game, is it a good thing or a bad thing? For Brisbane, it's probably a good thing.
Well, it was good for the Eels.
They
got smoked by the Knights, and then next minute they look unstoppable since then.
And Cronulla, I think, they're just on the downward spiral a little bit, you know. So that a loss for them is probably not a good thing.
Is it the origin thing again? Gallen, Wade Graham's injured. Fafita's not at his best at the moment. You know, got the young hooker there. You know, Jack Bird's coming back, but they're all coming back from injuries through Origin. So if they can get them back, if you can get Wade Graham back and get Bird back, just and play this last round good and fly into the semis, I think there's still a chance because they've still got that same sort of side from last year. They've still got Valentine Holmes playing some good football and Maloney, and they've got a good balance. And they're not scared of Melbourne.
No,
they will take it to them. They're forwards. They'll go at them. You know, the Sharks play this unorthodox style. It's so tough, but now they've got this talent that can beat you from anywhere. You know, you've got these guys like Valentine Holmes and Latelli. They play 2s and 3s, man. They're smashing it. You got Seguiaro. He's an X factor now. Yeah. So I'm not going to write the Sharks out. Sharks off. I just think they need their full 17 playing at their best.
Yeah.
And that's what happened last year in the grand final.
Yeah, that's right.
17 players were there and they all played their best. Luke Lewis is probably playing the best football that he has. He just seems unstoppable on that right edge. But, you know, losing Wade Graham there, you know, that's going to suck. Jack Bird coming back, which is great, but you need everybody on the field. So I can still see the Sharks getting to at least the Final Four or even to the grand final.
So who are we punting from the 8? Cowboys.
The Dragons and Dogs. That's always it's a big battle, you know what I mean? Like, regardless, as I said, like if the Dragons are coming last, second last, and the Dogs are coming last, they're still going to go out there and beat the hell out of each other. So the Dragons got everything to play for. Dogs got pride to play for. So I just think the Dragons should get them.
Some other news coming out of the rugby league over the last week or so has been the removal of Neil Henry as the Titans coach. There's been a lot of talk about coaches losing dressing rooms and player revolts and things like that. Boys, what do we think? Are coaches' jobs only safe when they're getting results?
Yeah, 100%. It's a performance-based competition, you know. And you know, he had a great season last year, Neil Henry. But there is that. I've been coached by him. He'll end up losing the locker room eventually because he starts off as the best bloke in the world, but then he gets, you know, to 2 to 3 years and 4 years, and people start getting sick of him. You know, I think Neil Henry's a great coach, smart as hell, but he just needs to change his ways if he wants to coach in the NRL, because I look at the best coach in the world as Wayne Bennett, and I don't know why people haven't stolen his blueprint, because what he does, he doesn't try and make you, you know, he's not all about the X's and O's. He tries to make you a better person, and he doesn't coach everybody the same. And he manages people. He manages egos and characters, and he doesn't put everybody, and he doesn't coach everyone the same. He can handle Jarryd Hayne. Wayne Bennett has probably got the biggest ego out of everyone. He's won 7 premierships. He's done everything in the game. Like, so he's got every right to be cocky, you know. But like, I think he could handle Hayne easily. But some people can't. Got me easy. But with Hayne, I think he was a different kettle. I don't think Neil Henry could handle his, not his antics, but just his personality, his persona.
Was it 2 egos? 2 big egos within one side?
Yeah, but I think, you know,
I don't know Neil Henry.
You've played with Hayne, I've played with Hayne, but I mean, I know Neil Henry, and he doesn't look at Jarryd Hayne and go, oh, I'm going to treat him different than Ash Taylor. Mm-hmm. But where Haynes been playing, he's been treated different. You ask Hindmarsh, you ask the people that he's played with, he got different treatment. You were there. Did he get different treatment?
I wouldn't say he got different treatment because he had different skill sets to everyone. He's
a freak.
He's a freak. He's by far the most talented athlete I have ever played alongside of. The problem with
what? I'm just sitting here. I'm just sitting here.
No, you were the laziest. But the thing about Jarryd is that he does such freakish things that everyone expects him to do it every week, all right? Look, he hasn't had a great year this year. And I can openly say that as a friend. He has had some poor performances, and he will admit to that. But what do you expect him to do? Hit the ball up, play 9, play 7, play fullback. Yeah. If your team's not going forward, then you can't do everything. You can't do it. And people say, oh, he's not having a go. He could probably improve in some areas. And I think it's more of the way he reacts to mistakes, or he might...
His body language.
His body language, it puts people off. But Jarryd, Another thing about Jarryd, he's one of the smartest people when it comes to rugby league. Like, when you have a conversation with him about the game of footy, he's so intelligent. His IQ of the game is really high.
I think the difference between, having Jarryd Hayne this year, he was injured at the start of the year. He's a sort of player. I mean, like forwards can play with a hamstring injury and ankle injury and stuff like that. He's just like a racehorse, mate. Like guys like Mark Gazia, Matt Cooper, all these blokes, Billy Slater, they can't play unless they're 100% because they attack the ball so much. But then you top that with putting him at 5'8", putting him at halfback, putting him at fullback, putting him at centre. Leave him in one spot.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest wingers and fullbacks of all time. Leave him there. Don't put him in different positions where he doesn't get the ball, because he will sit out there in the right side centre and do nothing until the ball gets to him.
Yeah.
But you can only blame the coach, because he's the one telling him and putting him in that position. Put him at fullback. Don't keep swapping him every fucking second and putting Tyrone Roberts there and all this kind of stuff and trying to tinker with your back line. Everyone wants consistency.
To be fair, they had a lot of injury, so there was a lot of shifting around within the Titans team. All right?
Well, Ren, you're a big one. I know we've spoken about it before about that. Is the word coach the wrong word? Should they be referred to as managers? Because there are people within the staff that do the coaching, and as a head coach, you're essentially managing egos, or you.
I mean, you're managing board members, you're managing sponsors, you're managing the team. You've got so much to take on as a coach. I get that. I don't agree with coaches' techniques with every club, We've spoken about it in previous episodes, but you've got so much support staff.
Who's been your favourite coach?
Folksy.
Folksy has
definitely. Folksy and I.
You?
Neil Henry. I love Neil Henry. He's a good bloke. I'm just taking a piss, but I'd say obviously I've been coached by the best. It's Wayne Bennett, easily, hands down, because he could control me. He'd give me the difference between him. He gave me leadership. I was always a leader in teams, but I was a bit loose here and there. But he just went, okay, I'm going to put you in the leadership group and just give me a free role to do whatever I want. And he trusted me. The thing about coaches and players, you need to trust each other.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing with Hayne and Neil Henry. Wouldn't have trusted each other. Hayne would have been walking around training pissed off because he's getting hammered in the paper again. And Neil Henry he's pretty stubborn as well. Like Neil Henry's pretty much like a folksy. Yeah. Very, very strict, very disciplined. He's from the old school. He would treat me like he would treat Jamie Feeney or someone like that. But at the end of the day, you can't treat me like that because I'm a different person, different ego, different character. You can't coach me the same as you coach Reni. And we had guys like Sonny Bill, Reni, Willie Tonga, Matt Utah, myself, Mark O'Mealy, Andrew Ryan, Roy Asatasi, Jonathan Thurston. Different people, a totally different attitude. So you've got to treat them different. And obviously he hasn't learned his lesson because he was doing that at the Cowboys, and that's why they sacked him.
And what year was that, 2010?
Well, I was up in there 2010. I think he played at 11 and coached 11 and 12. But before that, he was there, I think, 2005. I think he got into the grand finals. So everybody thought, he was going to be the next big thing because they reckon he was the best assistant coach. So everyone was raving about him, like Hodjo and all these guys that were in the Queensland side at that time, going, "Oh, he's going to be great. He's going to be great." First couple of years in North Queensland, got him to grand finals, got him to semis, and then it sort of just died down. And then I think that's what's happened at the Gold Coast now.
I think some coaches are hit and run coaches. They like Neil did. He did well at Canberra, I believe.
Canberra, yeah.
They were going bad. He built them up.
I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Did he get him to the grand final? At the Cowboys? No,
yeah,
was that shit? No,
it wasn't. And then he fixed the Cowboys. He got them to that point. Paulie Green comes in, they win a premiership.
Yeah.
So he's definitely got some great attributes. He obviously, he's turned some clubs that were going bad around. And
that's what I'm saying. He can get him to that stage, but he just can't get him over the hump.
Yeah. Well, I don't know Neil. I sat with him once before, and he was a gentleman to me when I never signed with the Cowboys. But I feel like there's some hit and run coaches. Some coaches need to come in for 3-4 years and then move on.
When they talk about losing the dressing room, they talk about a coach losing their dressing room. Now, is that more to do with the fact that you're not getting the results, and so the players? It
coincides with losing.
Everyone's looking to blame. Like it's the same as any workplace. Yeah. If you're not getting results in a workplace, people start pointing the finger.
Yeah, well, it coincides with losing. I mean, there's you know, what the old saying, you know, like losers have meetings, the winners
compose
have parties.
themselves.
Losers have parties too, though.
Everyone
Yeah,
has
but they're still losing.
it's not a good party.
It's not a good party. If you win, you celebrate. You win, you celebrate. You don't have meetings. You don't have meetings, and you know what I mean, and talk about all the bullshit.
I've never heard of a winning coach losing the dressing room.
Exactly. You know, and that's what happens. You know, and you start bickering. You know, between there'd be little groups up at the Titans going, oh, you know, stuff. You know, is it Hayne's fault? Is it Ash Taylor? Is it this? Is it that? All these young kids. Like Hayne is the oldest there. He's the oldest at the Titans.
It'd be interesting to know.
I would have put him as captain.
It'd be interesting.
I would have put him as captain.
No.
Is he a captain?
I would have.
He doesn't need that extra responsibility.
I think he thrives off his extra responsibility because he's got leadership qualities, and gone are the days where Jarryd Hayne is young. He's 30 years old. It's time for him to go, all right, give me the captaincy. I'll put the team on my back. He's done it with Parramatta before. Deal with it.
If you're that person and you're not captain material, is making him captain just going to make things worse?
No, personally, I don't think so. I think he'd really strive in it. He's going to be 30 next year when he straps on his boots for the Gold Coast. And I think it's time for him to go to that next level.
No, I think it's just more added pressure, and all he needs to do is concentrate on making himself better, have a big off-season, pre-season, not worry about the weight of the rest of the team, and let someone else be captain. Leave Ryan James captain. Let him do the press conferences. Let him go talk to sponsors. Let him go talk to the corporates or whatever. Just let Jarryd concentrate on himself, and I think he'll be a better player for it. He doesn't need that extra responsibility.
I think another thing as well, there's so much talk about what he's earning. You know what I mean? He's earning 1.2 million. Now, money, to some extent, there's a salary cap. If he's taken up a big chunk of the salary cap, people expect performance based around that. But when people are taking pot shots at players because of what they're earning rather than how they're playing, there was a situation.
I mean, I think
last week
on Thursday. I don't really watch. I don't watch a footy show. I was just on Twitter, and they had this, you know, Tommy Raudonikis on there, and he's saying that Jarryd Hayne's failed at NFL. Like he's played 6 games. He had a contract. He sold. He certainly didn't fail. If that's a failure, and he sold the most jerseys in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't like it when you get uneducated people on there who hammer people about absolute rubbish. All he did, the Fiji Sevens thing, he was never really going to make that. He wasn't built. He was just come out of playing NFL. He's bulked up to the max against Fijians. And plus, he played, 10 minutes in 2 games?
10 minutes. He still made the squad.
He made the squad. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Tommy should just shut his mouth. Yeah. I just hate how everybody is coming out and bagging him about his money.
Because that's an Australian mentality.
He's earning 1.2 mil. Who cares? It's all relevant. He left $1 million contract at Parramatta to go over there for 500.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He cost himself money. And you've got to understand.
He took a risk.
How many
inspired kids?
How many players have left the NRL to go over there and play NFL? Nobody. We're applauding him going, oh, it's the greatest thing in the world. He comes back, he's injured, he's had an ordinary year by his standards. Then you get all these idiots from the 70s and 80s bagging him about him failing and all this kind of stuff when they don't know what the hell's going on. And all they can go back is go, oh, he's earning $1.2 million a year.
People don't realise with rugby sevens as well, the amount of running that they do.
Haynes just doesn't run that much. And
he didn't have the running in his legs. He's come from a very specific sport where each player does certain things.
At least he tried.
He tried. And he played for Fiji.
But the thing is, he played 6 games, then he got put back to the practice squad, and then he ended up forcing his way back in there for the last 3 or 4 games.
In the NFL.
In the NFL. And then he come back. That is not a failure.
No.
He sold the most jerseys, and then he tried at Fiji 7. So he's trying all these games, you know what I mean? Like,
and he's come back to
now he's come back to our game, and all we do when players leave the game is whinge about them leaving. Now we get one of our best back, and you want to hammer him again?
He's probably the only current NRL player that could have made it in the NFL. Definitely. And he played 6 games. That's making it for me.
For sure.
Oh, he made it. He had a contract. He played more than 6 games. He played the first 6 games. Then he was in the training squad. And then he ended up playing the last 3 or 4 games. Then ended up starting. You know what I mean? So like if that's a failure in NFL, I think pretty much if you're a young kid over there, that's not a failure. If you put that NFL jersey on, that is making it. You know, we should be getting behind him. I mean, I just hate this Aussie mentality where we just want to hammer our great players. As soon as he falls off a little bit, 2009, 10, 11, 12, you know, everybody was riding his coattails. 12 months ago, he was the biggest name in Australian sport. Now, you're trying to make a joke of him? He can put the Gold Coast on his back next year. Just surround him with some good players. You know, Haynes is a gun. He's one of the most talented players I've ever played with. He's a great kid. He's got his life sorted out. He's just had a really bad injury-prone year, and he's been played out of position.
Yeah.
And he hasn't got along with his coach. Usually he gets along with his coach and he can do all these sort of things.
Usually.
There's been a few on
Has he?
There's been a few.
There's been a few. There's a few on the stock.
You can't get along with all your coaches.
You would know. You would know.